let's talk about Italians, shall we? Italians live long, happy lives. In fact, Sardinia is one of what's known as a blue zone, which are people who live the longest and best. Not just longest, but best, like surgeons operating up until their 90s, people farming as they would when they were 20, when they're 97. So a blue zone means people who live well for a long period of time, not on a million drugs or any kind of oxygen tanks or life support. So one of the things that allows Italians to live so well are simple, humble lentils, which Italians revere like almost no one else I've ever met. Yes, other cultures use them, but Italians and lentils, we even eat lentils on New Year's Eve because they resemble coins and they're said to bring you prosperity and health. I don't know about the prosperity, although they're cheap, so maybe that's why. But the health part is absolutely definite. They're high in folic acid, magnesium, potassium, fiber. They have polyphenols. They're anti-inflammatory. They have no fat, and they help with digestion. You kind of can't lose with lentils. And they're easy to cook and versatile. We're going to make, how do I say this? My husband's from Boston, so it's really bad if I say the proper word, which is chowder, with an R. We're going to make a red lentil corn chowder. And if you're from Boston, don't yell at me. I live with this all the time. Okay. So we're going to take avocado oil. And instead of extra virgin olive oil, we're using avocado oil because of a spice that's going to be added. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Since it's avocado oil, I'm going to turn on the heat. Since this is a very mild flavored high heat oil, that it doesn't matter if you cook it before you add your ingredients. So we're going to heat the oil, add some garlic, and immediately some red onion. What you don't want to do is burn garlic. If you burn the garlic, best to clean the pot and start over because the dish will be, terrible. So we're going to add a tiny pinch of salt to start the process and just begin to move the onions and garlic around in the slightly warm avocado oil and let the sizzle build. We'll also add to it some curry powder. Now, curry powder is rich in a spice called turmeric, which is anti-inflammatory. People with arthritis use turmeric. People take turmeric tablets. There's turmeric creams to get rid of inflammation. But if you cook with curry powder or turmeric on a regular basis, you get the benefit internally as well. So we're going to take a good, generous amount, maybe a teaspoon for this soup. You want your red onions to turn a beautiful golden color. Now, when you use spices like curry or cayenne or anything like that, you have to use a little bit of oil in your cooking, or the heat doesn't develop, the flavor doesn't develop. A water sauté just won't do the job. So you have to use a little bit of oil. Next, we're going to add some celery that's been diced. Remember when you make soup to dice your veggies so that you have more surface area of the veggies to bleed into the broth, so the broth becomes sweet, because the job of soup is to help digestion begin. And so a sweet taste helps to relax the middle area and the intestines so that you digest the rest of your meal well. Next goes in diced carrots. Another tiny pinch of salt. Why do I do this? I do this because every time you add a vegetable to a sauté, you want to add a tiny pinch of salt so the onions taste like onion, the celery like celery, the carrot like carrot. That's why you do it. A little bit of frozen organic corn, or you may use fresh if it's in season. It's a whole grain, which will really add fiber to the soup and aid in digestion. Now the vegetables are all ready. So now we add some canned diced tomatoes. A couple of scoops. And because we're cooking with oil, the lycopene and vitamin C in the tomatoes will be more readily absorbed by the body. So reproductive health is boosted. Stir that in. And finally go our red lentils. Red lentils are like split lentils. They're very tiny and delicate. You can see this. Like they're almost like little pieces of confetti. This soup will cook in 15 or 20 minutes. It's nothing. There's no effort involved in making a soup like this, and the benefits are, as you saw, a millionfold. So if you tell me you don't have time to cook a soup like this, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. And that favor is, bring me your calendars. Send them to me on email. I'll find you the time to cook. In 25 years of asking, no one's ever brought me their calendar. Just a thought. Finally, bay leaf, so the lentils don't make you musical. Tried to fly away. Cover, and in 20 minutes, we'll have a delicious, creamy chowder. I'm going to chop the garnish, which is just a scallion. I like to chop the scallions on a diagonal for the garnish. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I just like the way it looks. It's really, really pretty. So since I get to choose, since it's my kitchen, that's what we're doing. Okay, now, so look how beautiful the soup has turned out. A tiny bit of salt. We're going to lift out our bay leaf so I don't have to give anybody a prize for eating the soup. And then it's become so creamy. Red lentils break down and become this creamy, yellow, golden color. The first time I cooked red lentils, I bought them because I thought, wow, these are so beautiful. I could make a beautiful red lentil salad, not knowing that they turned yellow and mushy when you cooked them. I was not a genius at cooking beans. So they, of course, turned out yellow and mushy, as they do. So I immediately took them back to the store and said, there's something wrong with these lentils. They don't stay red. And they rolled their eyes and said, wow, we didn't know you were a genius. They turn yellow and mushy. So I said, instead of saying, I'm sorry, I'm like, well, you should call them yellow mushy lentils. But now I realize they make a beautiful creamy soup and I love them. So we'll just garnish them with some scallion. And that'll be mine to dig into later.